flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jake, you're a new member of the committee.
I am. I'm the new one. Do I have to do anything? Is there a hazing or anything?
Well,
Or
yes,
just go sit out there?
it's like the first time you cross the equator, you know.
Well, thanks for voting for me anyway. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so the first thing on the agenda is we do welcome a new member, Jake McWegan, who is the representative of the Select Board, and he replaces Manny Soers.
And we should remember that Jerry Cucino, who was on this committee, and I think he served on the zoning board of appeals, still serves on the board of appeals for 40 years or something. He's been on there a long time. So he's great service to the town. And I think with the new members, we should reorganize.
Well, let's just go to the status of the members. Bullet number 3 is the status. And we have the representative of the Finance Committee, Duncan Law,
Yep.
who was recommended by the Finance
Hi, Jake.
Committee in August to the Board of Selectmen. But the Board of Selectmen took a vacation day on Monday.
Oh, yes, we did.
It was
It was
late.
Labor Day,
It's
so.
a 3-week
you're going
hiatus.
3 weeks.
Yes.
So you screwed us all up, Jake. So anyhow, he's on the agenda for next Monday.
Okay.
And so Jake, would you please support the
We will.
Finance Committee member?
Thank you. Do I have to pay you, or?
Well, finance.
Is this recorded?
It's always good to have finance.
But everybody else is sworn in, right? So we have 6 votes here, and that is a quorum. So we're good there. Now you can go on to the reorganization.
I had served as vice chair, I guess since the committee was formed. And I'm willing to continue in that manner, or or become the new chair if that's desirable for the committee. So in any case, I would continue working with the committee.
Well, I would like to nominate Bob Daler for chair, because he is a member of the planning board. But more importantly, he spent, most of his life working on water and sewer projects, and we've got an active water project. And, I think he's an extremely important person here on this committee. So I nominate Bob Daler to be chair.
Second.
Second. I can't vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye, okay. So that is 6.
Is there a nominee for vice chair?
I would volunteer to be vice chair, because I do a lot of the organization and put together the agenda, et cetera. But I don't want to be taking the minutes. The election of the clerk is next. Kevin.
All right, well, I would if you're volunteering, I would nominate Maury to be the vice chair.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And we need a clerk. And we,
Everyone's looking at Evan. Why is it?
and we have one working. Evan, you're willing to serve?
Yes,
Thank you.
keep on doing a little learning as I go. Was a little learning with the minutes and stuff.
Well, we're all doing that, so that's natural. Is there a second to that nomination?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We stand reorganized.
Okay.
The next on the agenda was the minutes, but they haven't been distributed to anyone, so we really haven't had a chance to review them. So I think we should lay that on the table until our next meeting. And setting a meeting date for October, I guess.
Well, what do you all think? Do we need monthly meetings? Here's the calendar over here. If we wanted to meet every month, then the 15th of October would be a good date, I think. I'm actually coming back from Ireland on the 7th, so I would not be able to actually help put that meeting together, but the 15th I'd have plenty of time.
Well, we really should talk,
Monthly or bi-monthly, you want to meet in October or November?
as long as we meet early in November, so we're not
Early
on top,
November?
we're on top of people's holidays. I don't think, now that we're wrapping up the water project, we have money for another water project, but, you know, that's probably next spring.
Yeah, okay. Let's meet in early November then, so.
We can always be called if something important comes up, right, Marty?
Hold on. So Wednesdays at 6:30 have been good dates and times, so we've really got the 12th and the 19th. Those are, anybody have any,
6:30 and 19th?
The 12th,
either the 5th or I'm sorry, the 6th, the 12th.
the 12th is probably the best.
12 is good?
12.
Okay, 12.
What was it?
Wednesday, the 12th.
Wednesday the 12th, 6:30.
Now, we've been meeting at 6:30. Is that still good for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep on then. So Wednesday, the 12th.
My wife deeply appreciates that. She said, these meetings are right in the middle of the dinner time. She said, 6 o'clock every, you know, tie it down.
Well, most meetings are 6 o'clock, but because you were driving back from Boston.
I was.
But I think Joe also likes
I
that
close
extra
at
half
6.
hour.
I close my office at 6,
Yeah.
and then as soon as I close, I'll come here.
Okay, good, that's fine with me. So we're 6:30 on November 12th, okay.
All right, the star of tonight's show is, Roger, we're going to review what we've accomplished to date, and given the fact we were talking earlier, you know, outside about, we've really accomplished quite a bit without costing the town, what that is, without reaching the town meeting to authorize money or coming out of the tax rolls. So we've looked at both the ARPA funds and the PFAS grant that we got, the money left over from the grants that we had received, and we're the beneficiary of a direct congressional spending for nearly $1 million that we have up in this coming fiscal year, and potentially another one of those. So I think this is all to the good, and Roger, you've had the experiences that we all think that are beneficial to the people, of people really needing the water, particularly in these older, smaller lots in the north end of town. So why don't you report on what we've done and what if there's anything left to do, what is that? And then what we might do for the upcoming water line extension.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in terms of work completed to date, so all the 2-inch, 8-inch, 12-inch water main has been completed. Route 6, Gifford Road, Osborne Street, Greenwood Avenue, East Briggs Road, 5th Avenue, and 6th Avenue. The Macumber School is connected, so we're able to complete that. We work with their plumber, and they should be all set. All the meters have been distributed within the town layout. We haven't handed those out on Route 6 just yet because we're waiting on some pressure testing and some disinfection of that main, which is supposed to take place next week. But all the residents that were interested in connecting to town water have received their water meters, and the services have been brought to within their homes in the general work area. So the permitting and the culvert crossing itself, the slip lining, the more complex portion of the job that I think we talked about at some of the last meetings, has also been completed. And just to remind folks, that's the portion of pipe where we utilize the existing aqueduct and inserted 2 pipes. That aqueduct goes under the existing 2 culverts within Route 6, and by using the aqueduct, we avoided a more expensive drill, and it went pretty smooth. So that's been completed. It's a pretty big milestone. Oh, and here we have some pictures of some of the work.
So,
I thought this was pretty impressive, what they did out here. So you have Bread and Cheese Brook, which is the blue there on the map, and you have 2 culverts that go under Route 6. And what's it, a couple hundred feet apart? 200 some feet
Jim,
apart.
what is this smashed up thing here?
So that's the aqueduct. That's what runs from Dartmouth all the way down to the Northwood Tupper Pond.
so this is for the new members, as you know, Fall River controls a lot of water resources in the town and owns the dam, the Nokochuk Dam, and so they, as part of going back, this was built in the 50s, but they ran an aqueduct which comes from the dam, the Nokochuk Dam, and runs over to Fall River. And now, when we're trying to extend the water main, we went into that pipe and then carried, that pipe crossed, that aqueduct crossed underneath the 2 culverts. And so we were able to, instead of directionally drilling through that, which is a lot of work, we were able to, the slip lining is as you can see, the pipe is all assembled and then dragged through the aqueduct from trenches, openings at either end. What's, not only did this save money and time, but one of the things that's really important here is now the pipeline is actually safe from the reconstruction of Route 6 when MassDOT has that on its calendar for some future time. But it probably will include rebuilding both of these culverts, because neither of these culverts, they're both probably undersized for today's storms, but also they don't meet any of the kind of culvert crossing requirements for open channel bottoms, any of that stuff that's now the standard. So essentially, we've extended our water main and got out of harm's way by having it now encased in the pipe. And this section here is that's the piece we took out to drag the pipe. It doesn't come out very neat, but
So it's pretty neat, right? You get the 2 green things there, which were the openings on either side, that they put the pipe in one side and pulled out the other, but they put a little remote controlled boat into the pipe to pull the pull cord. So they drove that all the way down the pipe, and then they pulled the cord back, pulled the chain, and then pulled those pipes through, and there's a spare pipe there, right? One is for the water, what's the other?
For the future sewer.
sewer, force main, right?
Force main, so when we do the sewer, if we ever do the sewer, there is a pipe there. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I liked it, so I figured I'd show you a picture of it too.
Yeah.
We have been lucky to have a grass median.
Yes. You know, if we didn't, it would have been
So
a great
far.
project.
You know, and I think we've really been fortunate in the town, by parlaying the talents in the planning department to chase these grants and all that kind of stuff, given the fact that with Roger's help, we don't have a DPW, we don't have, an engineering department, and essentially the town is working with consultants, been able to accomplish a good piece of engineering.
Yep, so that was a pretty big hurdle. We're happy that that's completed. So in terms of just quantifying the amount of properties that we've connected to the system, and keep in mind, it's important for two reasons. One is that it helps with the future O&M associate operations and maintenance associated with the new infrastructure, but also by having properties connected, it continues to keep the water quality where it needs to be, because the water keeps moving through the pipe. You don't want water just sitting in the pipe. So in total, we've connected 45 properties at 38 residential with 7 commercial. 3 to 4 of those commercials still have to be done. So we've got a pretty good chunk of properties connected. And I think I might have mentioned already, but in terms of schedule, we still need a pressure test portions of the Route 6 and disinfect, and after that we'll begin to hand out those final few meters out on Route 6. And currently we're scheduled to target paving in the mid to early fall of this year. Part of the reason that we're waiting as long is we want the trenches to settle. Mass DOT also has in their state highway access permit requirements that we let some of those trenches stay in place for as long as 90 days before we can do final mill and inlay on some of those patches on Route 6. So a little bit of work to do, but again, the pipe network has been ostensibly completed. We expect to get a request of substantial completion from the contractor as early as this week or next week.
And Roger, the final pressure testing and disinfection those are standard last steps,
Correct.
right? So
Yep.
that's always the last thing we do before we turn water on, is to go through the disinfection.
Correct. Yep, that's a good point. So we do, when we get lab results back, and once we get those lab results back, it tells us that the water's free, clean, and ready to be connected to.
That's just on that last section of Route 6, right? The Road, Osborne, East Bridge, those have all been.
All those loops have been already tested and are in service.
Yep. And we do have folks on that system already.
Yep.
So we've connected folks, and just to call out, Evan's been a big help. So we get the calls, and we get, for the requests, sometimes we get calls from not sometimes, we get calls all the time, okay? And we get calls from the plumbers, and I give Evan a call, and then we make sure that it's all ready to go, and he gets out there and opens the curb stops, which are the shutoffs located at the property line in the streets, that then open the valves up to the water in the basements. And we've also been working with the plumbing inspector, Joe Ferrera. I'm on the phone with him all the time, talking about the project, and he's been a big help as well, just making sure everything is being done that needs to be done to get these folks connected. The next part of the update is just the budget summary. We've secured a total of $5.4 million. That includes the PFAS, ARPA funds, and any earmarks. The base contract itself was $3.6 million. We had change orders, added scope, and added stock materials that totaled about $1.64 million. When you look at that number, it's just not just change orders. We expanded the project, so that means part of that dollar amount is we added streets to the project. So it's not like we went over budget by 1.5.
No, what's really happened here is we had very favorable bids.
Right.
And so we had the money, and we spent it. Our bids came under the $4 million grant that we had, plus we had money to start with. So because we had favorable bids, we did more work. And we did them at the bid unit price.
So we added East Briggs, we added Fifth, we added Sixth, and so and as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, so some of these streets and some of those folks were really in dire need of water, so it ended up being a really positive impact. So today, our total expenses of 5.25, that might be a little bit on the conservatively high side, but right now, we're running with that number. The funding available is about 5.41, which currently leaves us a project balance of about $155,872.
Roger and Jim, what's the status, just to go back up to the connections, what's the status of the outside service area requests of 5?
So we get requests, just to explain that, so we get requests where we have not brought water, so the service is not available, the main's not in the road. So we've identified some of those locations in the subsequent sections of our update, but some of those might include folks that are just beyond the end of the main, so 875 State Road is the end of where the main stops. And we've got some requests from folks further up, headed towards Dartmouth. The water's not there, so we can't do anything. We received requests, for example, from Warren Ave. And again, we did not bring a main up that road. If we did, it'd probably be a 2-inch main, but, so that's also another location where we have folks that have interest, but we're not able to
Not,
do it
okay.
necessarily.
Okey-doke.
Roger.
Yes, sir.
So we've kind of gotten 2 new grants recently, is that correct?
No, that's coming up. That's the next thing on the agenda.
So so the next section, Mr. Chairman, is we put together some summaries here, but I thought I would defer to Murray in terms of just going over some of the CDS.
So I've got an update on future financing for an extension of the water line. We're not planning at this point any sewer at all, but we have the existing water utility. We have extended it with this PFAS grant and the other grants that Roger has talked about. But we have 2 more possibilities, and they both start with our congressional representative, Bill Keating, and congressionally designated spending, otherwise known as earmarks. And in 2024, Keating arranged a $959,000 CDS grant with a string attached. We needed a 20% matching grant, and we couldn't get it out of other federal funds. It had to become from our own funds or state funds. And we were all kind of reluctant to go back to town meeting to ask for the 20% match, which is $240,000, essentially. But along came help from Beacon Hill, because last fall, the governor signed a bill providing $750 million for 2 things: debt reduction, that's Massachusetts debt reduction, but also federal matching. And our state senator, Mike Rodericks, had something to do with that. Anyhow, he has helped us arrange a match from the state for $239,938, and you put it all together, and it's essentially $1.2 million. So we are going to later on discuss what $1.2 million will buy us. And I will say to the Finance Committee rep here that we do not have to come to the Finance Committee with this. We do not have to come to town meeting with this. These are grants. We don't need to tax anybody for them. And so that is a message I hope you can take back to the Finance Committee for us, because it'll help. So we have that $1.2 million basically now. We have a confirmation letter on the state match that we received in late July, I think, Jim. But then another thing happened, and it goes back to Representative Bill Keating's office. In 2025, in the summer, they had an opportunity for additional congressional designated spending, but the timing was so short, they didn't have time to go out to the municipalities and say, what do you need? They just refiled everything from 2 years ago. The 2024 grant was filed in 2023, so they just filed all the same stuff all over again. And that included our CDS application from a couple years ago. And lo and behold, what came back was $1,092,000. And we have got that confirmed by Keating's office, and that money will be available next year sometime. We don't know when. The 20% state match would be $273,000. You add the two together, and essentially it's a it's a $1.3 million, over $1.3 million pot of money. And so we have projects that we have identified that we're going to talk about, Roger's going to talk about shortly. But we have that money. So together we have $2.5 million in two different tranches, essentially. And the issue here is whether we do two projects now, or wait and put the $1.2 million project together with a $1.3 million project and have a $2.5 million project. And I know some people feel like we ought to put it together, and it would be more easily bid and more easily administered on one hand. But on the other hand, politics being what they are in Washington these days, the current administration, has been rescinding a lot of these spending things that have been authorized by Congress. So, my feeling is, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, and that we should go ahead with the first $1.2 million project. And over the weekend, I had the opportunity to talk to our state senator, Mike Rodericks, about that, and he agreed with that we should go ahead with, the bird in the hand rather than, wait a while to put the two projects together. So that's what I would strongly recommend here as well. But those are what we have. We're not a committee that doesn't have anything to do going forward the next couple of years.
So you've been on top of that, Maury.
Well, I follow the finances.
Oh, that's great.
And,
That's great. So my question is to you then. My question would be to you. So basically, one's from Boston and one's from Washington?
No. Two are from Washington, which need the 20% match.
Okay.
And the 20% match cannot be from federal funds. It has to be from state or municipal funds. And in this case, we have, our state senator is kind of our guardian angel in this.
Right. So there are state funds available.
And so there are funds available as grants, not loans, but
Okay, I
grants,
understand.
to meet those federal matches. Now, I've already talked to, Senator Rodericks about next year, and he said two things. First of all, you got to get the money from the feds, and that'll happen maybe, mid-next year. And the second thing he said is that this program ends at the end of 2026. So what we've got to do next year is to, once we get the confirmation from Representative Keating's office that money is available, $1,092,000, we've got to apply to the state for the 20% match.
So we don't actually have it yet from Washington?
No.
Because I'm just going to spit out what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe we should spend it before it gets frozen, once we...
Well, you mean the first 1.2? Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, well, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
I mean,
Anybody else comment there?
I agree with that. I think that's the way to
Okay.
go.
Okay.
Just like to give a quick plug to Maury, we didn't know about these matching funds. Maury sought these out, and was able to get them from the town, which is $240,000 big, so.
Yeah.
Senator Rogers was also pushed for as well, once he didn't looking for it. So that's-
Our state senator is the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee in the Senate, and he is very influential up there, and he has helped us with this. And he will help us again next year for that second 20% match that we need.
I will say that if, you always get that chance of losing the funds. If there wasn't a chance of us losing the funds, I think it'd be a no-brainer. We'd want to wait and combine the two into one contract.
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefits to doing that. You've got bid prices, you're only putting out to bid once. You have one contractor, one inspector, one engineering company. Going out to two bids is a little bit more complicated, and, you can't move things around as easy, you know, you get one street where things go a little easier, maybe you can cover some costs on one of the other streets, you do it in one contract,
Yeah, I know.
that's the only downside.
But let me ask you this, Jim. If we recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they move ahead with the first part, the $1.2 million part, and assuming that the Board of Selectmen supports that, can we put it out to bid right away?
As long as the funding is there and the finance is there, the state matching fund, we have a letter of commitment. Normally, we get a contract from the state. That can take anywhere from a month to 6 months. So I want to confirm, this is a different pot of money. I haven't dealt with this pot of money, but we want to just confirm that the money is there. There's also a permit. Roger can explain this, I think, with the federal government. It's going to take some time possibly.
Yeah, so the grant itself is really flexible, that they haven't given us sort of a really hard, there's always some time where you gotta use the money up, but it's not like there isn't some more flexibility in terms of what we can use it for and where and how long the grant is good for.
I understand the grant was really, once it kicks in the fiscal year it kicks in, you have 5 years to spend the money.
And it's a pretty long time by grant standards. But the application and process to get the money is a little more onerous than, for example, the PFAS grant.
Yep.
And so we have to submit it's referred to as a category exclusion for environmental impacts, which is, it can be done, a work plan, and so they've got to review it. So there's some more work just to be able to access the money. Again, can all be accomplished, but at this point, where we really then have to look is, assuming that we can get that all done, even let's say in the next 2 or 3 months, you're not really going to start a project in December or January. So
No.
in any case, that puts us into next year.
Yeah.
At the very
They
early.
wouldn't let us open Route 6,
Right.
so.
Yeah, so we're into next construction season anyway. When you look at the FY '26, the CPF grants, what they call it, one is a House appropriation, one's a Senate, but, bill, but the difference in timing between that FY '26 federal grant and the one that we already have, which includes the match, we'll call that the 24, if we had the matching funds for both, they would only put us a few months apart between being able to utilize that money. So then if we knew the match was there, then we might lean towards lumping the money together. But because we won't know that match for this recent grant is going to comes much later in the year, it would push us into, it'd push us into 27.
Yep.
So the state match comes in much later than the federal grant. And that's kind of the driver. The only other way to sort of circumvent that would be to seek local funds, go to town meeting or something like that, and then see if we wanted to wait further in the construction season to start the job. But other than that, if all that money was available, then it would make sense to consider combining it. But we don't know where the match is for the second grant that was just received. I don't know if that's tough to explain, but it's in here.
Yeah.
So that's the way it would normally go.
Yeah.
So, but these are not normal circumstances. So maybe, well, let me ask you this, is there any chance if someone in Boston was notified, maybe someone on the Senate Finance Committee, could the state side of it be sped up because of what's going on in Washington?
I don't think so. I don't think that they would.
I mean, it'd be worth a shot, everybody knows what's going on.
Well, one thing we would do is as soon as I don't want to say it's a lock, but it's pretty close to a lock, that the $1,092,000 for the CPF grant is the second grant we're talking about. That it's very likely the town's going to get that. It's the match funding
It's a match.
that comes in later in 2026 that ties up the schedule a little bit. If we knew we were gonna get the match, and I know there's not an appetite for this, but just hypothetically speaking, a town meeting, then then the difference in the construction schedule will be very minimal, because the CPF grant money comes earlier in 2026, before the construction season.
Federal fiscal 26 starts October 1st, right?
Yes.
October 1st.
Yes.
25, so next month.
Yep,
But we haven't, the town actually hasn't got the formal notification or any of that, so if it's like the 24 grant, by the time you actually get that paperwork, it's likely to be next summer.
that's right. So it's either we are looking at a 24 grant, and we just received word about the matching funds coming from the state.
Yeah, but the 2026 grant was part of the 2025 budget, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that will get approved, the bill itself needs to be approved at the end of this year, and then the money won't become actually available until.
No, I think it was approved with all those continuing resolutions that they passed in late '24 and early '25, isn't it?
I don't think so. I think it still needs to be approved before the end of this year, assuming that there isn't any budget strife at the federal level. But I think towards the end of this year, we'll know that money's been
Okay.
appropriated.
So the federal money's comes first. So ideally, if we could somehow speed up the matching grant funds, that would work out well, wouldn't it?
You can also kind of take parallel paths, right? Look at both, right? And as we get through the year, if one's being slowed up or one's being held up, then you just go with a smaller contract. If it looks like we're getting close and both funds are going to be available, then, we have to hold off 3 months to do that. You can make a decision then to hold off 3 months and do them both together. I don't think there's any harm, and at least at this point early on, we're going to kind of parallel paths.
One of the things that that we're using this money both for the design and the construction of these things, right? So we're everything that came out of the grants, the design, the contracting, your fees for being the grant manager and doing the inspections, all of that came out of the grant. So we could take the money that we have in hand, the 1.2 million, and design a $2.6 million job, but only build, what we have for cash in hand. We get the bids in and we build, and we're getting unit prices on 8-inch water main and stuff, so we can, that's an easy way of having everything ready to go when the next grant kicks in and we get the match and all of that. So we've taken the step towards a bigger project, but we'll only build what we have the cash for.
So a question, Roger, you mentioned design, but these estimates that you have for various projects, you have 7 different projects here, and you have them costed out. Does that include design?
I think it does. I added it.
Huh?
I think it does. I added a contingency in there, but I'll revisit that. There's a 10% contingency in all these costs. Each includes a 10% contingency, so I think.
So you think design is part of the contingency?
Yeah, in this particular case, I applied some conservative values for the permit.
I said that, but I think that, I want to make sure that I'm correct, that that's how we paid for the design, right, out of the PFAS grant? Or the money we had in hand anyways.
So the design itself, all on Route 6, we paid for through
Oh, there was part of the water and sewer,
the earmark and all
The earmark.
Originally, we had a small grant for the first section, then we had the earmark from Senator Robbins that paid for most of the design. And then most of the design for the water on the other ones, we used ARPA funds. And we still have a little bit of ARPA money left. We have a contract with Kleinfelder right now to design a gravity sewer for Gifford Road, Osborne Street. There is a preliminary design phase now, and talked to Roger about it. I think we should probably halt the design at the preliminary and use the remaining funds for water line design, because, it's definitely
Sure.
a better opportunity. Design the water line, it depends where we're designing the water line, right? If we're gonna do Route 6, that makes no sense to design it already, but, you need much greater detail for design work in Route 6. If we're designing water main on some of the side streets, there's not a lot of design detail that needs to be done, it's mostly quantities.
So what,
So-
just for the committee, when we had the money, the ARPA money to design the Route 6 sewer, and that was really the Route 6 sewer and water. Those contract documents have the water main shown on them. So we just built the water section of that design that we had already paid, that came out of the original earmark from Senator Rogers, and the ARPA funds. But once we get off of Route 6, that was all new design work, tie into the school.
So if we were to extend the Route 6 water line to Cooks at Common, which is 475 feet, that design work is done. But if we want to do a loop like the Pine Tree Loop or complete the Faulkner Loop, that design work needs to be done. Okay.
So we did get up to Cocaset, just to be clear.
Huh?
So that portion going up to Cocaset's been completed.
Yes, that's what I'm saying,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
275 feet.
yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman, would I be able to make a motion at this time?
What's your motion? Sure.
I would like to make a motion, knowing how the timing difference between the matching grants and the federal funds and the concern we're having with federal funds. I would simply like to notify, just a simple notification is the motion, to our state rep and state senator of the timing difference between the two and the concern we have. Simply notify them of the timing difference.
So well, the point of that would be to say, if you can speed up the match,
Well, at least get it out there. Just notify them of it. Would that be through our board or the Board of Selectmen?
well, our role is to advise the
Right.
Board of Selectmen, so
I would just, the motion is to simply notify them of the timing difference between the state and federal. Just so they know. And then, then they know.
I think that's is that pretty much?
We can,
the-
yeah, I can
The timing?
talk to our state senator and find out when the matching funds are available. Because I think, my sense is they're available sooner than I think your sense
So
is.
is there a second for that motion? I'll second that so there can be
Thank you.
discussion. So,
Okay.
Maury?
I'll second it.
Okay. do you-
Don't we have a selectman here? Do we need to notify the select board when the selectman is sitting here?
I mean, with all due respect to your motion, I believe that the chairman of Ways and Means is probably well aware of where the grant funding is and timing with respect to both the federal and the state monies, so we can do it. I don't think it's,
So Jimmy, they're aware of it already, Jimmy?
Yeah, what I can do is Roger's memo that he passed out to the board tonight, I can.
Okay.
available
I didn't mean
to
to be the dog.
We can do that, I will give Roger's memo to the board and correspondence for Monday night.
Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Okay.
Same difference.
Great idea, it's already being done. All right, what are we gonna spend the money on?
That's a good question. So we've provided some, on page 5 of 8, we've provided some budget alternatives. At the top of the page, you'll see the approximate estimates per foot. That includes an estimated quantity of properties that would be served by those particular locations. For example, the Oakland Loop would be an 8-inch ductile iron pipe, That's about 1,900 feet long. The pipe cost with contingencies about $575,000. It would serve about 25 properties. The lateral costs, those are the costs to bring the water from the main to the property lines in both sides of the road, is an additional $84,000. So the Oakland Loop would roughly cost $658,750. So the same is true for each subsequent location listed in the table at the top of the page. You see the fire station link, the Faulkner Loop, and the Pine Tree Loop. Under that, we've identified how much money is available in the CDS, which Murray spoke to, the $1.2 million rounded off. And then we've included some alternatives, so we mixed and matched some of the locations so that we backed into that $1.2 million number. So, for example, alternative one would be the Faulkner Fire Station and Pine Tree Loop. It's a little over $2 million. We'd get to 34 properties with lateral costs of $119,000, a total cost of $1.326 million. And so in that case, we'd be over it a little bit by $126,625. And the same is true in all these subsequent sections, where we sort of mix and matched the cost for the location, and we came up with the overall cost to tackle those locations. I could read through each one, but sort of self-explanatory.
This is an older map that I have shown here, so the numbers are slightly off, mainly because they don't include the connection cost to the house. So these, the actual costs will probably be a little bit higher on each one of those options.
So I have thought about these 7 different options, and I've come to the conclusion that option 3 or 5 are probably the best ones. And the reason is quite simple. Potential customers. Because we've been hooking up about a third of the houses and so if we were to get 36 new houses or 37 new houses along our service line, we might be able to get, 10 or 15 of those houses to become customers of our water line. And I've done, a lot of work on the water line and the Waterline Enterprise Fund for the past 10 years, even before this committee was put together. And what a little utility needs more than anything else is more customers. It needs growth. And so if we can serve 36 new houses, I'm not saying we'll get maybe get a third of them as customers initially at least, with the Faulkner Oakland Loop, or get 37 with the Pine Tree Oakland Loop, I think those are where we should go, one of those two. And they're both below the 1.2 million. So a little more bang for the buck between, on the Pine Tree Oakland one, actually, because it's $100,000 less than the Faulkner Oakland. But I kind of like the idea of Faulkner because it completes a loop. Water engineers like loops because it keeps the water flow moving, and that keeps the quality of the water up. And so if we could actually complete that Faulkner Loop, we would add a bunch of new houses, and we would also keep the water flowing on the existing Davis Road and that other street. So maybe I would say, Faulkner Oakland might be the best. That's just my 2 cents. So.
Just on the Faulkner, loop, I'm assuming you're gonna connect it to the existing one. On
Yeah,
Igola.
and complete a loop.
Well, those streets, they do not intersect now, so I don't know what the plan is.
If they don't intersect, is there a paper road there?
That I'm not sure of, that's why I was asking.
Okay.
There are paper roads there.
Yeah,
And do we own the land under a paper road?
Not necessarily.
That's a
something
different
we're gonna have
Oh.
to investigate.
Okay, so can you find that out?
I can tell you right now, we don't own
Oh, we don't? Okay.
private street, but there's nothing that says that the property owners will be granted easement to the town,
Oh.
especially if it's a.
Is it complicated? Well, we don't want to acquire land and all. So maybe the Faulkner Loop, we should not consider it. Maybe we go to item number 5, the Pine Tree Oakland. So given those complexities, I would support the Pine Tree Oakland.
How costly is an easement?
It's not that costly, it's the process, right? If we have to take the easement, it's town meeting approval,
Yeah.
the process is difficult. You know, I'd have to check, I think town meeting has to accept an easement as well, but I'm not 100% sure. So even if they wanted to grant us an easement, by us providing water service, the town meeting has to accept that as well.
Fire station link would add some complexity as well. It's doable, but we'd have to deal with the state on that. And with some, you know, state highway access permits, so there's some level of design that would be at least required at that crossing. You know, all these things are surmountable, but these are just the little challenges at each location.
Yeah, that we need a road opening permit from the state for the 88 crossing. But I think that's doable. But Murray's argument of getting the customers is a good argument. I mean, the whole purpose of this is to primarily to bring benefit to the people who live up there. So, you know, targeting, you know, the more customers we can provide, that's, you know, that's consistent with the goals that we're trying to accomplish.
What are the benefits of the fire station link? Does that change any public safety issues?
So they're.
I mean, that to me would be
Yeah, that's where
a
I'm leaning
big, a
too.
big issue.
Fast fits, right?
So there's a couple of things with the fire station. One, they need to fill up, you know, with any service they have
Right.
in front, but they also have PFAS in their well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember, that's why I'm asking the question.
That was why, that was on the list of things to do, and that's why we left a stub to be able to extend that, because of the PFAS problem.
The only downside is, well, two downsides. One, you cross Route 88, which isn't that, you know, the end of the world, but the other one is probably only half dozen houses or a few houses on the side.
I get that, but I mean, this is a fire station. I mean, I don't know how you walk away from that. I'm sorry, that's just,
Yep, no,
and I can't vote, but, you know, I don't know how you walk away from that.
And I was leaning towards your comment as well from a public safety standpoint. Maury knows where I've stood on a lot of the projects, but if we're looking for, you know, and I understand the customer base that you're looking for with that, but the fire station situation, I think, bringing that water supply to there, we just had a pretty significant fire with the Excel Recycling Center off of Charlotte White, where they had tanker trucks coming from Berkeley, Freetown, Dayton, and various other locations to bring water in to fight that fire, and pumping it out of Tiverton, out of the pond there. So if we're talking about public safety and you know, the return on investment for all of Westport, I would lean towards something that would include that fire station. That's not saying you can't include the other ones, but you don't have the customer base that Maury was pointing out to.
So the fire station and the Oakland Loop is more money than we have. But
And Pine Tree would be the.
Fire station Faulkner is sort of off because we're, you know,
With the easement.
we don't want to go to town meeting to.
We don't have to do the full Oakland loop, right?
That's right.
We could do one or two streets, we could have a bid alternate if the price is coming low. We could add a street or deduct the street, but it's mainly what order would you like them done, and then we can see.
So up here,
Thank you.
if we didn't do Oakland and we did Pine Tree instead, I know, Jim, you really wanted this at a certain time because it's very, well, we wanted sewer there, didn't we? Because it's right next to the creek. So, but there are also, you know, some people on that street, we don't know the name of it, but there are people on that street that have asked
Is
to
that one?
plug in Is that just one person?
I think there were 2 or 3 houses in the back there, right?
Yeah, see, the person who owns most of those houses had indicated he would, it's not a lot, I think it's 3 houses up there, but he would connect all the houses
On this next street?
on Warren, we're talking.
This is Warren Street.
Yeah.
The Oakland Loop, there's a loop and then there's a line across. Is that, everything in purple is what the Oakland Loop is?
Yes.
Bob, you don't mean this red line?
No.
You mean
That's
this?
done.
That's done, yes. And so, you mean this street?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we didn't do that street, but we did the rest of the loop, we'd be okay.
Yes, possibly. It's also something, it's more work, but it might be worth sending a notice out to the people in that loop, seeing how willing they are to tie in.
Yep.
And if, I don't know the names of the streets there, but if Street A has 4 tie-ins, Street B has 1, then maybe we put Street A in as opposed to Street B.
There's a good argument for the fire station because of the PFAS and public safety. But there's another actual benefit to that. Because if we can get from here, that's Gifford, down here, we engineer this across the Route 88, and then we're here at the fire station. This is the beginning of what we call the Sanford Road Loop. And so if we were to do this little section for what, 450,000, whatever, it would be a beginning of the Sanford Road Loop. And that's a $2.5 million project, and we would do like $500,000 of that project. But engineers like these big loops.
It's on the next page, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
That loop has some benefits, you just don't have, as you said, you don't have the full funds to construct the full loop.
Right.
As you go further down Bridge Road, towards Sanford Road, there's been a lot of PFAS hits in all the private wells
Yes.
in that area.
Yeah, but also Our Lady of Grace
Lady of Grace Church
has got a
as well.
PFAS hit.
Really?
And that would be, if we could make that loop at some point, that would actually get the water moving.
Yeah, yeah,
In a big area, because
yeah.
it's kind of at a dead end.
So that is another benefit of the hooking in the fire
All
station.
those all those small streets that come off of Sanford,
Yeah.
there are a lot of customers in those streets.
I would just say that, if there is a public safety issue anywhere, we ought to fix it as fast as possible. I don't care how many houses, but we ought to fix the public safety issue. Just, I can't imagine how you'd walk away from that.
I will say the only downside to that is the less houses you have, those people.
I get it, but, we're talking about public safety.
Yeah.
I don't know how you walk away from that. Jim, I appreciate your point of view, but I just don't know how you walk away from that.
So the water rate that we established with the Board of Selectmen in, I think it was May, was $8.30, 100 cubic feet. And the modeling that I did actually did not bring the Water Enterprise Fund to break even. It almost did. I'm hoping that, growth will get it up there so that it's break even. Because we don't want to run this utility at a deficit.
No.
Because if we're going to have about 150,000 left. If you keep running it at a deficit, the enterprise fund's going to go to zero, and then the town has to take over and has to hit the budget. You don't want that to happen. So
I think,
that's why I generally argue for customers.
And I totally agree with you, Maury. I totally agree with you, but, we're talking about public safety. And I don't know how you walk away from it. I just don't. If we have 2 customers, we need to help these people
Okay.
that are dealing with wells that don't work.
Yeah,
I don't know how you walk away from that.
yeah.
And, you guys have maybe heard me in the finance committee, I don't know how we walk away from the kids in our schools. I have problems with all that, so I'm just telling you that's gonna be my opinion. And I can't vote, and I don't have standing here today, but I'm just telling you, that's where I'm gonna be every damn day. I'm not gonna walk away from that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we got to Macamore School.
Yep, well,
Got the background.
and I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think there's a bunch of wisdom in that idea of, and if we look at extending the Briggs Road to the fire station, plus some modification of the Oakland Loop, we stay under the budget, and we gather quite a few customers, but we take the first step in what would hopefully eventually in the north end of town would be a water loop that continues around Sanford and makes that loop back there. Because we've taken a big step towards your old problem of we're buying the water to spill it on the ground. Because the state won't let us have the water, and there's also water quality issues with it, but we can't let the water in the pipe stay too long because it ages out. And that, now, the more customers, the more flow that we use, the less we have to, now we're buying it for consumption, not buying it to actually keep the lines going.
So by process of elimination, we really are down to number 6, aren't we? Fire station in Pine Tree at $891,000. And that would leave $300,000 for the second phase of this grant-funded extension.
At the risk of confusing things,
And we can even do the,
applying all the CDS would get you the 1,700 feet to the link, plus an additional 1,300 feet towards Sanford, but that would leave still 3,960 feet.
yeah, we could maybe do the Ocosip, the 475 feet to the Ocosip Plaza, right? Is that,
That we did. That was one of the add-ons that we did.
oh, you've done that?
Yeah.
Oh, we have connected
It's
that,
built.
okay. Okay. Well, then we'd have
So
300 grand left over for the next project.
I think looking at some modification of the Oakland Loop sort of maximizes that. And it stays, it could easily stay in the budget.
I mean, except, exclude that extra street
Yeah,
and just keep it a straight loop?
yeah, and
Roger, can you-
do the outer loop. And the nice part there is we then get another, at Oakland and Osborne, we get another cross connection.
Yep.
Every one of those reinforces the system.
Yep. Bob, you know more about this stuff than anybody. Why don't you make a motion?
Without that introduction, I would move that we do the fire station link and a modification of the Oakland Loop to stay under budget, and that would be our recommendations for the Board of Selectmen for a project that we would undertake
Second.
this coming spring.
I can't do that, I'm sorry.
We need another second.
That's sorry, I
With all
apologize.
due
I
respect.
apologize, I keep forgetting, I have no standing here.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Roger,
Yes, sir.
can you modify the Oakland Loop for us?
Yeah, I'll take another look at that. Yep.
Can you do that? And so when I put together a memo to go to the Board of Selectmen, I can have an updated number of the
Do the right
modified
thing.
Okaloop.
We just voted on option 2.
My understanding is you modify from this point, right? And you're just
Well,
going to
we-
lose
So, Maury, what I would suggest is that we talk to the engineer,
Yeah,
and we see, we probably design those three or four streets and they open those. We can get pricing on those and then, before we go out to bid and make a decision as to
Yeah.
which three or four of those and that would be.
Okay, can you,
How much fun are you
you two do that sooner rather than later? And give me a number, then I can take to the
I was
Board
a
of
fan.
Selectmen? Thank you. Okay. Okay.
Maureen, can I just ask a question on this since I'm new here? You're saying that the conversion rate is about a third of, obviously 33% of the.
I think it's
cus-
someplace between 30 and 40%, yeah.
Do we know why we're not getting a greater conversion rate than that? I mean, has it been focus group testing? Have there been
Roger has
polling of
been,
those?
You know, our consultant project Matteron.
Just want to make sure, when you say conversion, oh, people.
Yeah, so if only a third are hooking up to the system, why is 66% not hooking up?
I think a lot of it comes down to perception. There were a couple of properties where it didn't make a lot of sense, where folks had these really small homes, but what folks are looking at, and it's part of the public sort of education process, is they see the short-term expenses, which is going to be a water bill, and then a very nominal cost to have a plumber convert them over. But what they don't look at is what it's going to cost to replace a filter system in your home at some point when it goes. And so they're looking at the short-term costs. The early adopters were a lot of the folks, not a lot, but some of the folks, really their water was so bad that they
had no choice.
Yeah, there was no choice.
What is the cost of the private homeowner on a tie-in to the water line, basically?
So those who adopted and got on the list before the money was, the money that we've allocated for the service connections was spent, which was about, I think it was $260,000. We brought that water right into their basements. Then their cost would be just hiring a plumber to
Okay.
install the meter and cut them over, which is probably in the neighborhood of $900 or something like
$1,000,
that.
okay.
and that was Jim's suggestion that as we moved into these neighborhoods, that we give people this option as an incentive. Normally in Public Works, we would bring the water.
To the street, right?
The
We
street,
would bring the water to the street and leave the curb cut there for them to connection, but then all the 3/4 inch into the house, and plus the house plumbing would be on there. That's normally where it would be done. And I think that's exactly right. I think right now the perception is my water is free. I've got a well and, I live with the water quality or whatever it is, but in a few cases, we had people that had a period where their wells had gone dry. And in other, a lot of people who signed up knew that their water was really bad.
But that could change over time, too. I mean, as
Yep.
people experience the wonders of having it delivered, well,
And
We
the well,
provide curb stops to every property. So
It is there.
We provide the water line to the property, so they're not going into the road to do that, they're just going to the property line.
Okay.
But I would expect over time we have an occasional addition to the customer base.
yeah, I think that's right.
Because I've sort of monitored this water enterprise fund for a long time now, and I think I was starting to monitor it. Our customers were in the 150s, and then it hit 160, and it crept up to 164. I think it's 168 before the extension. I think we're about 210 now. So, but it was creeping up even without the extension. And I know one guy actually financed it down his street, a couple of houses, and he just wanted it so badly. So water wells do dry up. I think there are a lot of, old dug wells up there. They're, down, 15, 18, 20 feet. I don't think everybody has an artesian well up there. And then there's also the nitrogen. On the Board of Health, we had to give a lot of variances to houses up there on those tight lots.
A lot of the wells haven't been tested, either, private wells.
Yeah, right.
The public water supplies, the small public water supplies like the school, the restaurants, the apartment building, they have had to be tested. They found PFAS in a few of them, that the school had manganese in it, which exceeded the federal levels. It was being treated, the school was treating it, but it gets expensive, so
Yeah.
this eliminates that as well. And I think as people start testing, they're gonna start, hopefully they don't, but they might start finding some mining contaminants in the ground.
Yeah. Well, people are not, generally don't test their water except if they want to sell their house.
Right.
And if they want to sell it to a buyer who is applying to a bank to get a mortgage, that bank will require a water test.
Yes,
And if it's not good, they won't issue the mortgage.
right.
Roger, thanks for the report. We have completed the agenda. Is there anything else for discussion tonight? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. I'm good at that at conservation, too.
You have a lot of practice, do you, Jay?
We stand adjourned.
Jake.
Okay, who seconded
Nice to meet you, I'm Duncan Live, just so you know.
Jake did.
No, Jake moved.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.